Hey guys, well, it's officially 2026 and the price of living just feels like it keeps on going up. Actually, everything is starting to feel a bit overwhelming nowadays with all the subscription services, ads everywhere, people always trying to get you to buy or invest in something. Hell, even the games nowadays are filled with all these microtransactions, and it feels like a lot of AAA titles are starting to blend together. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You play as a character that has to explore a huge open environment coated in a fog of war. As you run around doing objectives, you level up and gain new skills, while being flooded with side missions. Not to mention consoles that came out 6 years ago are somehow costing even more than when they first released. Let alone the next generation of consoles will probably cost something like $800 to $1,000 or something, seeing how Nintendo's was $500 and they're supposed to be the cheap ones. To take a step back from all this, I tried going back to a simpler time and dusted off my old PS2 and tried playing some Beautiful Joe. Or I would've, but my PS2 apparently doesn't work anymore, so it was time to dust off the PS3. But before I go any further, if you like this video and want to see more like it, then feel free to click that subscribe button. If you want to keep up with me, I really appreciate it. And now, with all of my shameless ironic promotion out of the way, on with the video. I originally got my PlayStation 3 20 years ago when it first released. I know, I'm old, but damn, I can't believe it's been 20 whole years since this thing came out. While it was sold out everywhere at the time, my father worked a second job as a security guard at Toys R Us. I know, right? Back when Toys R Us was a big brand. But because he worked there, he was able to buy one for me for Christmas. And man, the memories I had with this thing. It was my first time ever experiencing online gaming with Resistance Fall of Man. Not to mention, this thing did everything at the time. Since I had the 60 gig model, it was backwards compatible with PS1 and PS2 games, and streaming services were kind of like this new flashy thing at the time that made life so convenient. Not this weird cable in a different form type thing that it's morphed into now. Not to mention that the PlayStation Network at the time was free. It was like the secret trap card you were able to always use in that schoolyard argument against other kids that said Xbox was better. Playing Infamous was also a crap ton of fun, not to mention Batman Arkham Asylum, and who knows how many other types of memories I had with this thing. Unfortunately though, when the PS4 came out back in 2014, it wasn't backwards compatible, and whatever backlog you had was stuck on the 3. And also unfortunately, while I was trying to clear my own personal backlog, in that weird period after the PS4 came out, but before it really had any games, my PS3's motherboard cracked. I was able to go to a shop to trade it for an 80GB PlayStation 3, a decision I seriously regret to this day, seeing how the 60GB held its value, and they're really hard to come by unless you want to shell out like $300 or $400. But ultimately, the magic for me was over after that. From that point on, I moved on to the PS4, and into storage my PS3 went. That is, until now. First things first, the PlayStation Store is still up and running on it. Like, I knew Sony tried to shut it down a couple of years ago, back in 2021, but reversed that decision due to backlash. But I find it really crazy that a system that came out 20 years ago and 2 generations ago still has the PlayStation Store up and running. That's just mind-boggling to me. One of the first things I noticed on my PS3 was that I downloaded Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 onto it. Like, already? Holy crap. I completely forgot that those games were a thing on PSN. And unfortunately, in the PlayStation family, it's only available on the PS3. Another thing I noticed when going into the store is Mega Man Legends 1 and 2 were there for like $10 each. Do you know how crazy that is? Those games are rare to find if you want the disc, and as far as I know, there's no legacy collection for them, like all the other Mega Man games, nor is there any official way to play these games anywhere else. Why are we not preserving this? I'm definitely no tech engineer or anything, but I find it unbelievable that all these games are stuck with the PS3, and that they haven't at least been put up digitally on the PS5. The other day when I was making those Crash Bandicoot videos, I tried buying them online, but they were crazily priced, maybe $100 or so. Guess where I saw all 3 Crash games for about $5 each? That's right, on the PS3 store. Remember that Parasite Eve video I made the other day? That game is relatively hard and expensive to find in real life, but you know where I found it for only 10 bucks? That's right, you guessed it, on the PlayStation Store. Playing PS3 games is almost therapeutic if you can live without multiplayer. Going to an old console and looking back at the old library might as well be the same as getting a new console. Recently, Ubisoft canceled their Prince of Persia trilogy remake. For some dumb reason. But if you don't have a PC, you know where you can find it? For the PlayStation 3. Not to mention all the older PS3 games I never played but wanted to at the time, I can pretty much find for under 10 bucks. Also, it's kinda crazy how long DualShock controllers used to last. I think mine lasted over 10 hours easy while playing Parasite Eve, and with charge to spare. I can't imagine any of my controllers for the 4 or 5 lasting that long. I think they tend to last maybe 5 hours, maybe 6 at most. And, at least to me, PS3 games, actually any generation before this current one, the games don't feel like they all blend together. There was so much more variety, and it felt like companies were willing to take more chances back then. Remember Dead Space? What about Time Shift? Catherine? Last of Us? How about Bioshock? Dark Sector? So on and so forth. While not all of them were great, there was still a whole bunch of variety. My point here, and with this video, is if you have an older console, maybe you should think about plugging it back in and taking it for a spin. You may be surprised at the things you find. Also, somebody really needs to get Sony to push at least half of these PS1 games onto the PS5 store, or else we risk losing them being gone for good. Not counting, PC and emulation and Steam. Hey everybody, Future Argonaut here. Quick update. My PS3 actually stopped working right after I finished making this video. I'm not too sure what it was. It might have been the fan or something, or maybe the thermal paste went. Now, this doesn't affect how I feel. I just find it funny that it happened. Now, to return you back to your regularly scheduled video. Let me know in the comment section. Do you agree with my thoughts? Do you disagree? Do you know why Sony hasn't ported these games over to the PS5 store? I would love to hear from you. And with that being said, I'll see you all next time. Thanks so much for watching.